Hey everyone. Can't see it. I have something in front of my screen. Oh.
Hey.
Sorry, I did not have my camera started. All disheveled. I changed my classroom, my reminder on my calendar, so that I had the Zoom link, and then evidently took away the reminder on it. Whoops-a-daisies. And so I literally was reminded a minute ago when I looked at the clock. So I'm glad you all could be here. It's on Caleb because he was the last one to talk to me. Hey Marilyn. See your face.
Hello.
Christina, how's it going? Hey Nate. Okay, so first things first. Oh, hey Matthew. Were you about to say something?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. You know, I thought it was going to rain today, but it hasn't. So it's exciting to see people, just for reference. So in case you saw something show up on your, I don't know if you get a notification from Canvas. What did I change? Oh, I changed the Zoom thing. So I realized I was probably going to be slightly too lax on making sure I posted every video, because it's a long process and they have to process before they actually are posted. And so what I did was I just posted the playlist. So then you can always click on the playlist, and then every video from this class will be posted on that. In order to do that, I had to make them public, so we'll see how that goes. I had like 2 random people comment on them, and I think they were just like, "Go you, good job." And you're like, I don't think the average amount of time they watch was like a minute or 2, so I don't think that they're actually vested in like actually caring about marketing. So if we get into any big problems with commenters or something like that, we can address that as that approaches. But I just wanted to let you know is that so it won't announce to you every time I post a video. It's just, if you want to see the class, it's out in the Zoom link. You can click on the videos and they'll be all there. So and I am published up through today. So like I'll have to, as soon as this class is over with, I'll go throw it out there. And I try to make meaningful titles for them, so you know kind of what the topic is. I had the dates. It's a class in the dates, and so you have a playlist for 442. And like the last class we had was marketing section intro or something. Okay, I think those were. Oh no, the other housekeeping thing. So Alexis Walker let me know that you have a spring recess and you weren't supposed to have class on Thursday. So we don't have lecture on Thursday. I had somebody from this morning in my morning class ask if I could get on in case they had questions. So I will jump on in case anybody has any questions for like your projects, or if you want to have any follow-up where you just want to chat with me. There's no obligation. There's no actual class. I won't lecture. I won't even record it. It'll just be, I'll hop on for a few minutes. If nobody's on, I'll go on my own merry way. So yeah, so Thursday, no class. If you want to have any questions or you want to see this face and ask and chit chat, I will be here. And then all your lectures are now on YouTube, and there's a playlist link in the Zoom folder, because that's where you go to access the class, and that's where you can access all the classes online. They are recorded like you see. So I have this, so I have spotlighted my video for, I don't know. So I had just changed the spotlight so that my face is big. I was concerned, and I realized this, is that it records kind of what is shown on my screen. So if like you're all little bitty boxes, then it's recording all little boxes. So if anybody's actually watching those and you have any feedback, if you'd like to see it just my face big, or if you want whoever's speaking big, I'm not really sure how to do this. So feedback is welcome and appreciated. I'm gonna cancel spotlight because I'm about to have to go big for my class. So we're gonna recap last Thursday's class, but does anybody have any questions up until this moment, or anything else I should remember? Oh, your deadline for your second paper is Thursday evening. It's like midnight. It was at 3 o'clock and I changed it because, technically. Yeah, Jacob?
Could we move it to Tuesday since we have spring recess?
Spring recess is officially on Friday. Thursday's just no class.
It was worth a shot.
It's a technicality, and I'm going to get you on it because mostly just because I'm, yeah, no, let's do it Thursday.
It's okay. It was worth a shot.
Yeah. No, it was worth a shot. One of the things that I think is on this project that we haven't talked about in class that I think that it shouldn't be hard is the product mix. And I think, I don't even think we talk about it in lecture wise super much. But it's a question that I've got, we will talk about it roughly. It's a lecture. It's kind of one of those like push challenge things. Like, hey, go figure it out. It's a small part of your paper, so it's not a big part anyway. Product mix is the products that your company is choosing to produce and sell. And so a lot of you already touched on it in your first paper, and so you can kind of use some of that or think about it. Really, the motivation for talking about it, and this is to think about it, how it moves with their pricing strategies. How does that align? Like, are they selling, multiple brands that are competing against each other? Like, I don't know, but let's pretend for a second that Velveeta mac and cheese is owned by the same people who are owned by Kraft. I don't think they are, but like if they were, like they're selling two competing goods in the same shelf. Why would they do that? And kind of try to think through things like that. That's a little bit of why we're discussing the marketing or the product mix. But again, it's a small portion of the rest of your whole section. Are there any other questions on the paper before we move on?
We don't have to make a PowerPoint, right?
Right. There's no presentation, no PowerPoint, just the paper, group paper turned into me. I actually think I opened it up so that there's a submission online. If you don't either email it to me or you submit it online, whatever way, I will find them all.
Is it just one of us per group that has to turn it in?
Yes, please, only one of you per group, because it starts getting really confusing when I get like 6 papers and you're like, this is not the same thing I've already read, and then it takes me a minute. And so it would be very handy if there's only one. So yes, so for reference, because if it says there's a submission online, everybody doesn't have to submit to the mat. So you're not going to get penalized because one of your group submitted and nobody else did. Like, you will all get the points. I will grade it by group. Yeah, any other questions? Nope. Okay, so we started our lecture on marketing, and we talked about marketing versus branding and how brands is the bigger kind of feelings you have about basically the image you have about a company, right? So the brand is that imaging. Marketing is what you do to portray that brand or to portray that image. So the example is like, marketing is the jingle, right? Branding is the feeling. So like, Kit Kat bar, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. That's a marketing campaign, right? That's a jingle. That's an advertisement. But what branding is that it's a fast snack, right? Like, it's chocolate, it's fun. It's that image that you have evoked out of it. So it's kind of the deeper meanings. We talked about brand equity, which is part of that: name awareness, perceived quality, strong brand recognition, that people know the song, it's tied to marketing channel relationships. We talked about examples of brands and their perceptions. And then we went in to talk about how brands compete for this emotional value. And we went through an example. Can somebody tell me what the first stage in the emotional value in terms of brand relationships, which is created?
It's the intro hook, correct?
Yeah, so
Right.
that's the first thing. There's the hook. There's the intro. Like, hey, let's jump in here. This is literally the introduction to the brand, or to creating this this relationship between brand and you. And again, we're using this as an analogy for the relationship we kind of go through with our association with brands. But again, we have to have the hook. We have to have some kind of introduction. Who wants to tell me the next one? Not Jacob. He just answered.
Affiliation.
Yeah, affiliation. This is the speed dating, right? This is the like, hey, I like it. I like the good. I connect with it, or whatever the branding is. And we have affiliation with a lot of brands. Like, I don't, I can buy lots of things at the grocery store. There's not like, I'm not only saying like, I'm only going to buy things that Kraft, Mondelez produces, right? Or Kraft Heinz, I don't know, whatever. I'm not to that level yet, right? Now, in one category, I might say I'm only going to buy Velveeta macaroni and cheese, right? And that's a different level. But for affiliation, this is like, hey, I like it, and I like and affiliated with it. And this is the speed dating. Is not a super deep relationship yet. what's my next level?
Validation.
Validation, yeah, you're going steady. This is the actual relationship where you're like, listen, I'm now to the point of I need or I demand this one good, right? It's not just like, oh, I'll try the things. Like I really want this one good. It's great positioning. It's when I'm comparing two goods, I feel really good about my decision to buy one good over the other one. Like I need this one. I'm going to choose this good. I'm looking for this good over other goods. What is my final and ultimate way of the deepest level that you want to do for brand equity?
Identity.
Identity, yeah. So identity is at deepest level. That is the marriage, the committed relationship. This is to say that I am that. And again, in a really weird way, it's like you become a Velveeta Shells person, right? You become a Mac person. You become a you have now affiliated. You've become a Tennessee person. You know, like say like yeah, I like sports, right? Like so that's your first introduction to football. You're like yeah, football exists. You know, that's the hook. And then there's like affiliation is like, oh yeah, I first introduced to sports in general, and then you're affiliated with like football. I really like football. I do soccer in my case, but like let's say football, right? That's affiliation, and you're looking and seeing all the different teams that exist. And then validation is that like, hey, like you're kind of picking one, and everybody like now you're choosing to kind of maybe watch Tennessee football more than other football because you're choosing to watch because you like it now, right? Like you like it. I need to watch that now. And then identity becomes I am Tennessee football. Right, like I am Tennessee. Like I'm not gonna watch anything else. Like this is who I am. I'm a Vol, right? Like I Vols above all. I bleed orange, right? That is identity in a brand. And we talk about branding in terms of in food, but like in branding is anything, right? Like in the Tennessee branding. And then so we finished with identity, and then we said that. Did we go through questions about creating the emotional value linkage, understanding your business? Did we go through any questions about how are you positioned in the market? No. Okay. So let's start there because I thought we had already finished that. So identity is this we have this identity of who we are. And so the idea is that you want to create this emotional value, your strategy where you have to think about before you start building an advertising or marketing plan, you have to have how it fits into the overall branding, right? You have to figure out how it's going to fit into your overall kind of image you're portraying to the world. And so we got to start by you got to understand your business. So I don't know, somebody pick a food of some kind of product. Not Velveeta mac and cheese, we've done that one. And not the Twix one, because I feel like I would talk that one to death.
Heinz ketchup.
Heinz ketchup. Let's use Heinz ketchup. So one is we kind of I bring this up because we're gonna use Heinz ketchup through all these questions. We want to understand our business. You need to understand your business. And we're gonna ask ourselves a few questions. We're gonna say, how are you?
We can't see it.
Oh, thank you for calling that out. I was totally I was like, yeah, let me just like keep writing on my little iPad here.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, for whoever said that, thank you. Totes my goats. Okay, understand your business. You got to say, how are you positioned in the market? And the reason why you're asking how are you positioned in the market is you want to say is how where are you already existing? Like what category are you in? You want to figure out kind of do you already have a perception of you? Are you positioned as the low income? So let's say that you are so we're Heinz ketchup, right? Heinz ketchup is a recognizable brand. It's positioned, we already know it's in the condiments category. It's not like we know that they're not a low cost leader, right? Like they're not pricing their ketchup the cheapest possible. They're also not going to be like the fancy. I don't know what other. I actually don't know what. Does anybody know if there's a super fancy brand of ketchup? I don't know. I don't think so. No. Okay.
I mean, you could probably say like organic ketchup. That would raise the price, but still not fancy.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I bet like there's no like Grey Poupon for like ketchup, right? Like there's no like the little fancy one that's like $10 at the top. Oh, I have a chatty box. Is somebody gonna tell me? Oh, Justin said Hunt's. I don't think Hunt's is fancier. I think Hunt's is cheaper than Heinz ketchup. But anyways, so real arguably, like, you're the kind of premium in the ketchup market, right? You're not the low cost. You're not generic. So we already know how we're positioned. So when we're thinking about how we're going to advertise, or we're going to think about how our marketing strategy, or how to drive that relationship with customers, we need to know how we even are in the market. The second question we're going to ask ourselves is, what makes you unique? What makes you unique? I can't spell unique. So the second question we're going to ask is, what makes you unique as a product, right? What makes Heinz a ketchup that people should want versus every other ketchup? Is it that they use less salt? Is it that they were the first on the market? Is it that they, started in the 1800s? Whatever it is, right? It's a longevity. It's that they were the ones who marketed it first. Whatever that case may be, which I think might be true for the ketchup. What makes them unique? And so you have to think about understanding your business before we even get to like how we're going to market this thing. We got to understand our business. Number 3 is, how are you perceived? And this is, and again, they're all kind of linked, but, positioning the market is like where you are and kind of how you're marketing. When we're talking about how are you being perceived in the market, we're going to think about how are customers perceiving you, right? So if I'm pricing and I'm positioned as the high end, but customers think I'm just a cheap product, right? Or customers then it doesn't matter how pricey, how expensive I think I am, how much I want to market. If they just think I'm the cheap product, I'm not going to be able, I'm going to have to work really hard to convince them that I'm not the cheap product. It's probably going to be really hard to convince somebody that that the shoes at Walmart are worth the same amount as, Air Jordans. They might be the same quality, right? But it's going to be really hard because you're at a major national retailer that is not known to carry high-end sneakers, right? So even if you are carrying those shoes, it's going to be really hard to get that perception change. And so you got to think about like, how are you even being perceived? Because you're going to have to work on that first. Number 4 is going to be, who is your target market? So again, if we're trying to advertise and we think our target market is, for ketchup, the likelihood. So for ketchup, sorry, let's ask this because carry our ketchup question here. Who is our target market for ketchup? For Heinz ketchup, who do you think is our target market? I will start calling
People who consume ketchup.
people who consume ketchup. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's with any good, right?
Like people who are gonna do like a cookout, or they're making like cheeseburgers or hot dogs or stuff like that need condiments.
Yeah, so we might think party goers, that might be a target market. This might be really important during a holiday season, right? Like 4th of July. Can anybody think of like on an everyday basis who our target market might be?
Students that eat in the cafeteria.
Yeah, students in the cafeteria. You suckers eat all the ketchup, right? I might think families, right? When I think of like families who are eating, chicken nuggets at their wazoos.
Maybe fast food restaurants.
Yeah, fast food restaurant. Yeah, see? So we got to think about all of these different target markets, and then we got to think, how are we going to market to each one of those, right? Because when I just think of like those little Chick-fil-A ketchups, and they're like the little, I don't know, does everybody know the little plastic tub things that the Chick-fil-A ones are coming in, right? They're marketing their ketchup differently to Chick-fil-A than they do to McDonald's, where they have the little packets, right? They might be selling the little tub things now at McDonald's, but they weren't for a while. I don't go to McDonald's and get ketchup a lot, so I don't know. But we got to think about how we're going to market to those different target audiences. And so if we're targeting college students, we're going to advertise vastly different than if we're targeting, families with kids, right? And so you have to think about, we're going to talk about it. Hold on, let's see. Maybe not today. We might not get it to today. We're going to talk about like making a cohesive brand image and making you stick with it. And we're going to talk about shifting that brand image. And so Wendy's is my big example of that. So I'm going to beat this. It'll be a horse that gets beaten to the ground. But Wendy's, when it used to, their brand image was like, oh, they're sweet. It's a sweet little redheaded girl, right? Like it's a sweet and innocent. And then they kind of embraced this idea of like, I don't know how it got shifted over, but like if anybody goes look at Wendy's Twitter. Look at Wendy's Twitter. They are sassy. They are like sarcastic. They are funny, right? Like, and they are brutal. I mean, they'll just like roast anybody. And so what's funny about it, right, is they've totally shifted their brand image. And it's because they decided that they're not marketing to this kind of like, 1950s household. They realize they have a younger demographic. They're marketing to people who are kind of young and hip and that are on Twitter, that are, consuming this type of information. They changed their target audience and they found they've been pretty successful with that. Again, we'll probably talk about Wendy's again. We will likely talk about Wendy's again. And our final one is, I'm just going to put SWOT, because we've already gone over it, is knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, your opportunities and your threat, knowing what your market looks like, knowing who you are, knowing what's your strength and what your threats are or your weaknesses are, and then understanding how the marketplace, your opportunities and threats. And that's really going to play into how you're going to market yourself. Because if you're, if a threat to your market is that you're overpriced and you're not really delivering the quality, and you go and you start to like really, commercialize and hammer how good of a quality you are, basically that's your weakness. It's your weakness that you're not a good quality. And then the threat is there's going to be an imitator. Well, if all you're going to do is go out and market and hammer your quality, and that imitator comes out and actually has better quality than you go under because you don't hit your expectations, right? Like you didn't look at your SWOT and say, hey, probably not the thing we need to focus on is the thing that we're not going to be doing good at. How about we focus on our strengths? Is that, we're available everywhere. We're the name brand recognition, that you get everybody consuming. You convince them to have an emotional attachment, right? That identity, so that they are not Hunts people. That's because I still see Justin chat. Oh, we are Heinz ketchup people and we buy Heinz. We don't buy any other Heinz. An example of this, if everybody, I can't, let me throw this into big again. Oh, that's better or worse. I can't tell. I see more of your stuff. Okay. If everybody wants to, well, I don't know. This is gonna be so much. Is there a way to like poll people? Do you all see the little poll? If I hit a poll, this doesn't work. It would be easier in class because I'd be like, raise your hand real quick. Really, what I want to know is how many of you like Duke's mayonnaise? I see Mary Lynn's hand. Can I have like a me? Jordan does.
No mayonnaise at all.
Well, Jacob's out. So I get like 3 people. How many of you are Hellman's mayonnaise people? I am. Let's see. No Hellman's mayonnaise people. Oh, I am. My dad was also from West Coast, so it was a thing. It's Best Foods. I don't know what it's renamed. It has a different name in the West Coast. How many of you are Miracle Whip people? Vomit. Marilyn, were you shocked by my vomit comment? Ew, Alexis Walker also does not like Miracle Whip. Or Alexis, are you getting the joke from what's his name? Jimmy Fallon. He hates mayonnaise. He makes a big deal about it. Ew. Okay, anyways, I wish there was a better way to see your all hands and to get your comments. The point is here, Duke's mayonnaise is a really big deal. Everybody talks about it. I never knew Duke's existed until I moved here to Tennessee. Back home, everybody eats Miracle Whip. I don't, like, I was a mayo person back home. And then, and I was a Hellman's person. Like, that's my thing, right? And everybody else is Miracle Whip. And so it's interesting that we attach ourselves. That is an identity thing. I'm a Duke's mayonnaise person, right? Like people have like very strong affinity for Duke's mayonnaise. Or what's that seasoning that's from around here and everybody really likes? Dale's like season.
Dale's season.
Yeah, again, never heard this again, but I've heard a lot. Like that's a brand that people really associate with. Okay. Are there any?
Like when my parents grew up, Duke's was like a really cheap brand in the South. That's why everybody around here likes it. Because like if you grew up and like you didn't have a lot of money, you actually bought Duke's because it was far cheaper than like all the name brands.
See, but then now, and that's funny, right? Because like now it's like it's not the cheap brand. I mean, it's not the low value brand. But what you do is you create and that, my friend, is how you shift your brand identity. right? Like you shift it from like this idea of everybody coming in and wanting your brand. That is not, that will be another example. Remember this, Matthew, when we start talking about it later. Okay, so that was kind of the end of our intro, and we're going to go into marketing campaigns now. Are there any questions about this? Because all of these questions are going to flow through when we're talking about all of your firms, when you're thinking about how, what should your firms do, when we're going to think about how should firms make decisions. These are all the questions you need to think about. Where they are on the market. Like, sure, any firm could create any product, but is that a good decision for them? Is it going to make, are they unique enough? Are they going to be perceived as a good quality product, or whatever the case is? So we are now going to move into marketing campaigns. And the reason why we're just calling marketing campaigns and not just advertisements, because there's lots of different ways, and advertisement kind of evokes specific kind of a narrower focus. And so marketing campaigns can be lots of different ways, and lots of different ways of trying to market, and advertising is another term for that. But so let's define it as a specific defined series of activities used in, well, this is so long, marketing a product or in using new channels or methods. That was as short as we're getting it. So let's reread that. So marketing campaigns is a specific, defined series of activities used in marketing a product or in using new channels or methods. And what we mean by that, and you're like, what the heck is new channels and methods? So think about it like a new channel would be that we're going to start selling Heinz ketchup. So imagine the first person who's like, we're going to market Heinz ketchup to McDonald's, and they're going to brand their ketchup now. So instead of just being the ketchup in a little tub thingy where you have the little white, the little white cup and you put it under, that's not branded. We didn't, at the time that when I was growing up and we used ketchup, I didn't know what brand ketchup McDonald's had. It was some ambiguous brand underneath the cabinet, and it was just a squisher bottle at the top, right? Just some ketchup. It was ketchup in a little white tub. And then what happened is at one point they said, hey, let's start marketing our brand at these different firms. Right? So now McDonald's has Heinz ketchup or Hunt's ketchup or whoever's ketchup they have, right? And so then what that does is it convinces all of us, it shows that, that we're now associating McDonald's and Heinz, and that my value and my like for McDonald's should be associated with Heinz too. There's a lot of these things, or methods. So we think about as new ways of advertising comes through. So we first got into, and we're going to talk about marketing types in a bit, but, and different types of, channels. But an example of a channel would be something like social media, or you think as Facebook, and then Facebook started advertising, and then Snapchat, and now there are advertisements on Snapchat. Those are different channels and methods for advertising that are completely different than what you would have done 10 years ago. Snapchat did not exist in the way, there was no advertising there. And so we think about marketing campaigns are these activities we're going to do in either marketing a new product or service, or in using new channels and methods to market a new product or service. And it's not always a new product, and so we didn't put new in there, because you can just define marketing brands. So sometimes they'll market Nike. You see Nike advertisements that aren't advertising a specific Nike product, but they'll advertise Nike as a brand. And so we think through things like that. Okay. Are there any questions before it's hard. Okay. So we are going to, your campaign that you're going to create, or not you create, but a campaign is that you want to, they should fit your marketing plan. So we talked about our strategic plans a long time ago. Marketing plan is part of that. You're going to have an idea of how are we going to market our product? How are we going to advertise for things? And so our campaign is just a piece of whatever our bigger overarching strategy is, right? If our goal is to have household name recognition, a campaign might be that we're going to blast, we're going to drive around in cars and have my sticker of Jada's, economic teaching is going to be on, sign on every car that's going to drive by in every, street in Knoxville. That is a campaign associated with my larger strategy of being known, of, being the most known economist there is in Knoxville, whatever. And into overall firm goals. If my overall firm goal for myself is to be super well known, right? Or if my overall firm goal is to not be known, is to be like the, quiet person in the back that nobody knows. And then the marketing campaign's like, we're going to put your name out there for everybody. Those two things are at odds, right? And that happens. It happens sometimes where overall firm goal is at odds with the type of advertising that happens. And typically what you see is that disconnect leads to usually some issues. It usually shows that there's not a lot of communication within a firm. It usually leads to like a loss of stock price because it means there's not a lot of cohesiveness throughout the firm. We had an issue at Hillshire, I think one time, where we had a marketing team try to market something and it was really weird. And we got a lot of flack back about it. And our CEO came back and was like, why are we doing this? And they were like, because we thought it was good. And they were like, maybe not the best idea, right? And so we want to make sure that it fits our marketing plan and into our overall goals. Our marketing campaign should have goals, timelines, and metrics. It should seem super familiar because this is exactly what we talked about when we talked about our strategies at the end of the semester, at the first of the semester, and we talked about our objectives. We said, what should our objective be? They have to be measurable. They have to have a timeline, or they have to be that we have to be able to set them. The same thing with marketing campaigns. There's this idea that I think in TV sometimes they're like, yeah, they're just going to do this stuff and it's just all willy-nilly. It's like, these are very specific time. Like, we are going to have this out there from this, for this many weeks, we're going to advertise in a specific way. And then they have to be measurable. We have to know, were we successful in some way? A lot of times that's
the white fudge covered Oreos. They're only out during Christmas.
Yeah, that's a great example. Right? Like they're driving sales, it's fitting with their holiday season, and then they're only going to advertise them at that time. And they're going to have signage up, and that signage better come down after the season, right? Like, I mean, you might have left it up at Cash Saver, but I bet at some point you're like, we got to pull this down because it's not Christmas anymore. We can't have our Christmas advertisements up. Yeah. Right?
I also remember when like Heinz, it was back when like the high fructose corn syrup was terrible or whatever.
Yeah.
And Heinz was like trying to jump on top of that, and they like were advertising for like an organic and like a no high fructose corn syrup ketchup, and now they've got this like huge line, but they delivered it later than that like trend was there, because for it like the no high fructose corn syrup trend hit and then it like fell off, and everybody's like, we actually don't care about it, it's not that big of a deal anymore.
So right, like, and that's a problem with like, understanding your customer and seeing the market. That is a great example. I should store my null and login here if we're talking about planning and looking at the marketplace and adapting and being a quick business, because sometimes when you're a big clunky business, this is what happens. You're late to the game, right? Good example. What did I have here? Literally, Jacob, this is amazing. This is my next point, is effective marketing is what separates slow-growing companies from fast-growing companies. So that a lot of times, like that fast-growing company or these slow-moving companies aren't as effective at marketing, because they're like, oh yeah, let's jump in on this no high fructose corn syrup, but it's going to take us a long time to get there. It's going to take us a long time to remarket and to rebrand. Where like a small company is like, listen, we got like some printers out back. Let's just go ahead and get it done. Let's throw somebody on YouTube. My kind of final point wasn't one we were going to write down. It was talking about just some examples of some really big companies that have been successful. And it was that companies like Gillette, Frito-Lay, and Coca-Cola have succeeded in these highly competitive mass markets. So we think about like those kind of three brands, or these like really big markets, like shaving, We talk about snack foods, so Frito-Lay, so not necessarily Fritos, but like just in general, Frito-Lay owns a lot of different chips, and then Coca-Cola. And I know Coke and Pepsi, and there's the soda wars, but we think about how successful they've been in marketing, and it's because what they've done is they've been able to outmarket their rivals. You think Frito-Lays and Cheetos, and we think like those chips that they produce have been able to outmarket their competitors. It's the same way with like, why are Coca-Cola and Pepsi the two big players on the market? There are other brands. There are other brands that come up. There are little brands all over the place. Why are Coca-Cola and Pepsi the ones? One, because they have money, right? So
because they can afford to market.
Yeah, but how did they make the money? Because they were able to, one, they've been around forever, but they used money and they advertised. So Coca-Cola was super successful because it originally wasn't super successful, and there was a guy who, when the guy who owned it was really not good at it, and then another guy bought it, and then he started branding things Coca-Cola. He was like, you want a dinner plate with Coca-Cola on it? And they started selling all of these branded things that had nothing to do with the drink, right? Like it was just this branded image, like other stuff. And what it did though is it made it a household name. PepsiCo did the same thing. They started branding all of these things. And what it was, and so you fast forward, Pepsi and Coke have money, and they advertise with that money. And they have these huge wars about their kind of competing for the mass markets, but it keeps them relevant, right? Like it keeps them relevant that like we all see, and we want to know what other types of products they're going to come out with. And we're going to want to see, know what flavors they're going to try, or when they come up with a new thing, you're like, no, I mean, Orange Coke came on campus last year. How many of you tried it?
They were just handing it out for free because nobody liked it.
Yeah, right. Right. It was terrible, but we were all willing to try it. I mean, it was free. Let's be clear. So we're willing to try a lot of things because they're free.
Yeah.
But like, right. But like, that's a huge way of like, we're willing to try because we're like, I don't know. You come out with a lot of like, they have a ridiculous amount of. I went to the Coke Museum in Atlanta. They have a ridiculous amount of Coke products around the world, and so like, us trying something, it might be something that they've marketed around the world forever. Anyways, so the idea is that we're going to outmarket, and so kind of as a marketing campaign, you have to think about how being mobile and thinking about how to leverage your brand equity you already have in selling your new product or selling a product. What I wanted to, we're not done with the section. I just want to kind of move into is the types of content, because what we've up until this point we're saying, hey, here's the definition, here's the marketing, but like what do I mean when, I know we've all seen advertisements. We've all been on YouTube. We kind of have a perception of all the different things. But let's just kind of give them things a name. I want to draw your attention really quickly to, if you go to section 6 on the Canvas website, there are 3, oh, did you hear that? It's my dog. There are 2, so if you go to section 6, all the sections have stuff in them, or some of them do, but section 6 specifically has 52 types of marketing strategies and the cost of marketing content. And those are 2 things that say, make sure you read this one. So if you haven't looked on Canvas in a while, or you didn't pull that down, I would suggest going back to do that. The 52 marketing strategies we're about to talk about, normally in class, what we do is I would have asked you all to look for one that you thought was your favorite, and we would have talked about it. We're not having class on Thursday, and so it puts a squisher room on my amount of time. If you all want to, I don't want to make a homework out of it. Yeah, so maybe we will think about, this is a good question. I don't want to waste your time, but now, so I have lots of materials left. So we basically have like 3 classes left after this. So yeah, we might eventually at some point talk to them, but we're gonna, I would suggest looking at it. It's gonna be on your exam. I'll just throw that out there. It's a thing. They're just, you're gonna wanna know those. And the other one is a cost of marketing content, and it's a PDF. So 52 types is a kind of there's quite a few. It was, and the cost of marketing is this nice kind of table of marketing content, and it's valuable for what we talk about maybe next Tuesday. And then there's a few other things that are in there, but so what's the thing? I want you all to participate, but I think it's harder when we're online, and it's harder when you all don't see each other. If I asked you, I need a feedback from you. If I asked you to look at this and come back with willing to chat about one on next Tuesday, would that be feasible, or would this? Okay, can I get? Can't you like do little reactions with thumbs up? Or okay, so everybody thumbs up if you're okay with that. It's not a big deal. Okay, perfect. So here's what we're going to do is I'm going to just briefly touch on what the heck this is. And then what we're going to do is next Tuesday, if you all come in, and we'll start out class by going over one. So just think about one that you want to chat about. There's 52 of them. So briefly what it is there are 52 types of marketing strategies. And they are, oh, here, you know what? I wonder, hold up. I think we're about to get crazy up in here. Let's see if I can. Sorry, it takes me a minute here. It's like a dot cam. So it's called 52 types of marketing strategies. There's multiple types in here. When we talk about scarcity marketing, relationship marketing, community marketing, again, there's a lot of examples that go through here. Here, also, since I got it, here's my dog. That's it, just wanted to see her. Okay, back here. So everybody come in. I won't go over those in. We'll just talk about them on next Tuesday. So as a recap, everybody come in, ready to talk about one of the 52 types of marketing strategies. I would probably have a few in your pocket, and in case you needed it, or at least have them looked up. But there's all sorts. I mean, literally the first one is cause marketing, and it's finding a cause that both you and the customer are going to be are going to find value that you care about. And so it kind of requires you to know what your company values. So you have to have values as a company. An example of this that they have in this is Tom Shoes. And so the idea is that as a firm, Tom Shoes says we value everybody having access to these shoes. We have value kind of redistribution of this wealth, that like buy one, give one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attach ourselves with the value that you have, this kind of giving and this charity value you have as a person. And so what we do is we come together and we create this marketing where this is going to be our firm's identity, is that we donate things, and that's going to allow you to have identity with it, right? And so it's a cause marketing. So we're going to market the cause that we're promoting. So we're marketing the thing that we're selling, but really it's the cause behind the thing we're selling. So sure, we're marketing, effectively they're marketing shoes, but how many of you were like, that you ever remember the marketing shoes that it wasn't buy one, give one? They had anything that wasn't about the cause that they were promoting. There's another thing called, like, I think I've seen it before because my friend really likes elephants, but like elephant pants. And they're pants, you can buy the pants, but the big deal is the money that goes into buying these elephant pants, so much of it goes to pay for it, to help support, saving the elephants and elephant rehabilitation. And so it's a cause marketing. So they market this, here's the cause, buy this thing, and it goes to the cause, right? So that is the first one. Nobody come in with that one because that's there. We will talk about that on Tuesday then. Perfect. Well, that was easy. So we're going to talk about those. So I wanted to so we'll move forward into, what time is it? No. Right? Is it break time? Is this a normal break time? Because we start at 2:10. Yeah, it's like normal break time. If anybody would like to have a break, we can have a break right now. It's break. Does anybody have food news? Because I have some food news if you don't. Anybody have food news you'd like to talk about? Here, let me also stop sharing, so I can see your faces. Nobody has food news? Well, I will tell you my food news. One, Nutter Butter is coming out with a double nutty, like the double stuff, but it's like double peanut butter. So I don't know how that's gonna, I don't know if that's gonna be good or not, but I feel like I like peanut butter, and double the peanut butter sounds like double the fun. So the other thing is Oreos is coming out with an ice cream roll, and I wasn't quite sure if you were supposed to like cut it. So kind of like a tube, kind of like, what's it called? Like a scoop it, you put cookie dough, like cookie dough tube. That's what it looks like. It's like a cookie dough tube. So I don't know. Anybody have more? Because I got some more in my little post note. The only real one that's time sensitive is that which you're not supposed to go anywhere because we're stay-home orders. So I'm telling this for anybody who's not in the state of Tennessee right now. This is free Doritos Loco Taco from Taco Bell today. So if you go through the drive-thru, you can get. I don't even know what it was, but it looked like it had Doritos as a shell, and it was Doritos Loco Taco from Taco Bell. And I don't know the stipulations. It might have been you have to buy one to get one. I don't know. But I saw it was free Doritos Loco Taco. I wrote it down. I'm letting it tell you.
Those are delicious.
Are they good? I mean, is it Doritos with taco stuff in it?
Like a Cool Ranch shell.
See, I would do this. I would try this. I mean, it's also like so gonna rip your stomach up, but I would totally do that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the assumption. You go in assuming it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
But
Love hurts.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That and then their quesarito is also really good. Not that I go that often, but like if I really want to treat myself,
Taco Bell is your treat?
I mean it's like a bad treat, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's not like the treat that like you're looking forward to. It's the one you deserve.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I get it. It's like the thing that you're like, I like it, and I'm gonna go. I know I shouldn't, and but every once in a while, you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna suffer whatever consequences. Consequences be damned. I'm gonna go anyways. That was my Dorito. That was the time sensitive one. Would you like to? Anybody have any other food news? Because I got two more. No. PBR is coming out with a hard peach tea.
PBR is also coming out with a hard cold brew.
See, and like PBR is like market. I mean, they're like expanding. I don't drink beer, so I only have perceptions that other people have given to me. But I was under the impression that PBR was not good. I thought it was cheap, kind of disgusting beer.
False. It's delicious.
PBR is fantastic.
I love PBR.
Okay, so whatever. I mean, again, I don't drink, so I didn't have any. But evidently, this perception I have is false, and I need to like change my mind. Madison Madison says the PBR coffee drinks are good.
It is good.
Yeah, see again, I feel bad now that I have belittled the PBR name in the world. I thought it was bad beer. I was like, it's bad. Mary Lynn, do you think it's bad beer? You were shaking your head when I was saying that. That's why I'm asking. I'm calling you out.
No, I mean, if I walk into a grocery store, I'm probably not going to get it. But of the cheap beers, I think it's one of the best.
That's when you just go straight to the liquor store. Why just skip the
No, PBR is great. You get a 6-pack of 16-ounce tall boys for less than.
It's cheap. Yeah.
Good.
That's funny. Did I already tell you about user-friendly beer?
No.
So in Oklahoma, you can't sell normal beer at grocery stores. It has to have less alcohol. So like, I don't know what a normal beer has. It's like 5 or 6% alcohol, like a Busch beer or something.
3.5.
So in order to sell at the grocery store, it has to be like half that. So it's like 2 to 3% or something. And so my stepdad always called that the user-friendly beer, because then you could have it without having to have all the alcohol.
It used to be that way here. It only changed like a year ago.
Really?
Yeah, like 2 years ago, because before you could not sell any beer in the grocery store or I think a gas station that was over 5%.
Huh.
So that's why like there are certain brands that some states they produce their beer at a lower content.
Yeah.
And for Tennessee, because like we have a lot of friends in different breweries across the country. And for the inside Tennessee, till about 2 years ago, they had to brew their beer and actually lower the alcohol content to sell it in the state to grocery stores. Now, craft beer store was different.
Yeah.
But like grocery store level, it had to be lowered.
No, I mean, saying like in Oklahoma, like if you went to the liquor store, you could be whatever, but like at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
I find that interesting though, because it's like, if we're selling at the grocery store, then why can't it be the same thing as liquor? You know what I mean? Like, is it like that?
Yeah.
We want to make it harder for people to buy alcohol. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems kind of like a,
it changed with the wine. When they did that bill that changed the wine sales in grocery stores, that's when that law changed.
Interesting. I mean, really, like, do you think it's tied to, I mean, here's a question. I mean, do you think it's like a moral thing? Like that, like they was like, hey, we want you to buy less, we want you to consume less alcohol based on kind of our, I don't know, our moral ethics. And so we're going to apply this law. Do you think that's where that came from?
I think it's like a older law that was on the books that's kind of comes from the Bible Belt kind of atmosphere. I mean, it's kind of like not selling alcohol on a Sunday. You know, it's in the room.
Fascinating things. This has been fun and chatty.
Similar to that, I know like not everybody drinks Four Locos, but in Tennessee they're only 12%. It's a malt liquor drink, but like in other states they're 14%. And I don't know, it's just weird because like Tennessee sells them at 12, and like every other state's 14. And I don't know, like, because they only sell them in gas stations really. And I think it's still kind of along with like those rules. Like they just haven't really adjusted to it yet, just because I think they have a plant here that produces them at 12%.
Huh. That's fascinating.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
As that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never. I feel like not drinking a lot for my heart anyway, and then like throwing in like Four Loko just sounds like it's not a good decision for me. So I'm just gonna.
Oh, you're gonna be wired for days. It's yeah.
Yeah, I think my heart would be like, not today. Satan, get behind me. Okay. Okay, so we're jumping back in. Everybody's, I can only see, I see all the people who had their cameras on that they are back. So we're going to assume everybody else is back from their break as well. So we're going to talk about 52 types of market. So we're going to talk about the value. Why do I have this as a whole subsection here? My numbers are getting all funny. Okay. Sure. So we're going to talk about like the types of content or what content. Oh, I need to share my screen again. Hold up, Jax. I see. There we are. So we're going to talk about the value. I don't care what we call it. Value of content. Kind of our subheading here. And it depends on the value of the content that we're going to put out. So the idea is that we're going to talk about these different types of marketing campaigns later. Oh, no, shady box. I don't know what that means. So we are going to value content. So we're going to, it depends on the customer. So the value of the content that we provide is going to depend on the customer that we have. So again, we talked about who's our target market, right? Who are we targeting? It's the value of the content that we're going to put out is going to depend on who that market is, right? If you marketed to your grandparents the same that you're going to market to your friends, it's not going to be super successful. Because how are you going to, like think about how, if I wanted to market to you, where should I market? Like, how should I do it? Should I put things in the newspaper? Like, how would I market to you guys? Yeah, Christina, social media. I'm gonna put stuff on social media. Is there any other way I would market to you guys? You all are not aware of how often you're being marketed to and how you're being marketed to all the time in all sorts of different ways. We're talking about grassroots movements. We're going to talk about funny memes, right? Like we're going to memeify things or market. Like, you not think I finally started watching Tiger King because I was just so inundated with the number of memes coming out about Tiger King. Because initially I was like, it's not really my thing. And I was like, fine, I just want to watch it to know what the heck it's all about, right? I'm on season or episode, I just finished 4, I think I'm on 5. Some crazy stuff going on in this show, right? You not
definitely
like memes.
Definitely fed her husband to a tiger.
Carol Baskin definitely is a murderer. We'll talk about it. I will have finished it by next Tuesday, so we'll have a powwow about it and maybe on a breakdown. Right. So it depends on your customer, and so and then coming back to social media, it's going to depend on what channels we're going to use. Right. We're not going to use newspaper to target you because I'm guessing most of you don't read a physical newspaper. You might. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying the likelihood is that you're probably not going to read physical newspapers as much as previous generations did. So let's talk about channels, types of channels, of marketing channels. So let's give an example here. So I'm going to, so we already said social media. Let's do that one. Social media is a type of marketing channel. And that's going to be things like Facebook, Snap, right? Insta. Can anybody think of other social media that you, Reddit? I mean, I don't think people, they all come and go so much. I mean, because we think about like old school, like MySpace and Zynga, and those are, 15 years ago. Tumblr, I think it's lost a lot of its appeal to most people. Can anybody think of any other types of social media?
YouTube.
We're gonna get to YouTube in a minute. We're gonna call that, no, you're fine. We're gonna call that media. And the reason why we're going to call it media is because people go to it specifically to watch certain types of content. Now, it's a way to socially interact, and people do, but for the most part, it's types of content that people are getting. They're consuming videos or some kind of music or information of some sort, and it's not, people don't typically go there to go talk to each other in the comment sections. Now, they can, and it's available, but we think that kind of more of this like media, and really, and if you want, it can be in both of those sections. Media would also be like what we think about.
Oh,
as
like
TV.
what about like Twitch?
Yeah, Twitch would be so. Yeah, let's call Twitch social media.
Because because they stream, but they also like have like a comment section so they can communicate back and forth with people.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, no. Yeah, I like it because I don't. My friends are big gamers, and so I watch Twitch at their house. It's you watch games, right? You specifically are going on to interact with one gamer, right? Like you're watching, like I said, with people. You're going to interact with other people within the gaming atmosphere, and you're going to go on there to talk to other people, right? You're using it to communicate with other people, right? Like, don't you use Twitch? Like, if you're playing a game, you can like talk to other people. Like, I'm gaming with you, and we're talking on through Twitch. Can't you do that? Am I right or not right? I don't use Twitch.
I don't know. I just know the people to use it to stream and do kinds of stuff like that. So
yeah, so let's use Twitch. Twitch would be an example of social media. And we think about all the ways in which you interact with people, and typically it's like a lot of the things that we're going to delineate between social media and media, and not that these aren't perfect rules. There's no perfect thing here, but might be the way in which we interact. So social media often has ways to interact where you are sharing or participating in the media consumption. Whereas media is somewhere that you're going to go and you're going to consume something from somebody else. There's more too, but like with YouTube, and this is right, like maybe we throw YouTube down there, is I can go share YouTube somewhere else, right? But like on my Facebook, I can share something on my Facebook, and the people are going to consume what I want them to see if they want to see my Facebook page. So I'm participating in the sharing experience, whereas YouTube, and that's why YouTube, when it first came out, was very blogish. So where vlogs came from. Vlogging is a social media component of YouTube. A lot of the ways in which we use YouTube now is not necessarily to vlog. I mean, how many of you have blogs on YouTube? Yeah, I see nobody with their little hands up, right? But how many of you have ever gone to YouTube to go like, I need to learn how to do something. YouTube's got a video about it. Yeah, same, right? Like that's what I've done. Like I literally one time was in my PhD program. I was like, I really need to understand how this math works out. And I literally found a YouTube video of somebody who did it. And it was like, perfect, thanks, right? That is a way in which consuming that information was valuable for me. But it wasn't necessarily something that I'm interacting with. Can anybody think of, I have a few more, but can anybody think of another type of channel? So not another types of social media or media, but another type of channel?
Like a streaming service, like Hulu does a lot of ads.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're gonna throw that in media. because I think it comes back to like the types of advertisements or the types of marketing are those types of commercials where you're just going to get some kind of commercial. And streaming is also changing the face of this. So like Netflix, we don't get commercials with Netflix. Riley, perfect. I'm going to come back to that in a second. YouTube, TV. So like, and I jumped off this, but like TV, I think we all understand the type of marketing that happens on TV. There's commercials, but also in terms of like product placement and things like that. So Netflix doesn't have traditional advertisements, right? Also, Christina, good comment. I'll come back to that too. Netflix doesn't have traditional advertisements, but Netflix also has tons of product placements and has tons of ways in which they are advertising within their produced content. So I'm going to throw Netflix in here too, right? And Netflix is really good at marketing Netflix outside of it. It's really great on like getting the buzz started about shows that they have. And the deal is Netflix produces a lot of really crummy content. Like if you look through all of the things Netflix productions have made, a lot of them aren't buzzworthy and aren't things that people talk about and don't get a lot of views. But what happens is Netflix has been very successful with creating things that do get that buzz, and then we all go show it on social media and we all talk about it, right? So right now it's Tiger King. The last thing that was big, what was it was a scare show, The Haunting of Hill House. Christina, do you have a comment on that?
Oh, I was gonna say the Aaron Hernandez documentary.
Yeah, that was a big buzzworthy thing, right? And so, and there's these other, and they've had these just kind of big pivotal things. And like Amazon Prime also makes an original content, and it has shows that have gotten big, but I don't think it has had as good a success at having the kind of right target demographic sharing the shows around, sharing it on social media. And like, you have to go watch the show. It's amazing, right? You have to go see Tiger King. It's going to blow your mind, right? Like it's ridiculous. There's a guy with no teeth and Carol Baskin killed her husband. I have never seen the show and I know these things, right? I'm now watching it so that I can say I've seen it. I'm going to come back to Riley throughout there for C here. And we're going to call these, I'm gonna have a weird name. So we're gonna call them big events. Big events, and we're gonna think of big signage. You know what? Maybe I just jumped ahead of this.
Like those planes that fly banners across the sky.
Yeah, so we could do like signage and like blimps. I was thinking like, because Riley put like roadside billboards, and I totally think that that's a part of that. And I'm wondering if that fits in this or not. Let's just make its own category, because I don't think it totally fits in big events. Because I think big events are going to be things like the Super Bowl, right? Like, so not even just the TV, but like the fact that there's little advertisements at the back of the around the stadiums, right? Or the big blimps that fly by, or sponsored by blah blah blah, right? Let's do roadside. And we think of like signs. Yeah, let's just do that. I mean, maybe it's by itself in its own category. Because I think like roadside signs, right? These big sign billboards, right? Billboards. Oh, or like park benches.
Well, I mean, because like when you're driving cross country, you see a billboard that says like the next couple miles there's a place to eat. Like it's kind of enticing. It's gonna want you to eat. So like, I mean, yeah, it's its own thing, I guess.
Yeah, it totally should be. And I didn't have it. I should add it to my list, because I have big events, and I think that that it should have. So and maybe I'll read roadside, but also just this idea of like these things that are physical signages. So like roadside, those big billboards, we think of, I said like park benches or like bus stops, right? Where there's a big signs on bus stops. And the big, if anybody goes to a big stop, they typically have like one side of the wall that's like got advertisements on it. And really what it is it's just a numbers game. It's how many people are going to walk by and see that sign and eventually have that stuck in their head. I remember when I lived in, it wasn't Italy. I think it was when I was in Belgium. There was some Dior ad they had Keira Knightley. This was in 2009. This is how often I saw this stupid sign. It was everywhere. It was on every park bench. It was on every like bus sign. It was everywhere. This Dior ad with Keira Knightley. I can't even tell you what flavor it was anymore or what smell it was. But that is a type of signage that was super effective because I remembered that this Dior ad was from 10 years ago. And so that's a type of marketing channel, right? It's not one that we typically think about because it's kind of weird, but that's another one. Christina threw one out there, and I'm going to add that in here, and she put print, and that is totally one of mine that I had written down. And this is going to be things like magazines, leaflets, newspapers, right? So any type of kind of this print type of media, it still exists. There's still print media. We consume much less print media than we have historically done, just globally. We've kind of moved to online electronics, so e-magazines, e-things. But we're still going to consider them print because it's still you're accessing a magazine, you're just flipping it electronically rather than a physical page. But that advertising revenue is still the same. You're still going to be just paying for ad space. Yeah. Does anybody here? I'm going to throw F out here for others. Does anybody have any other types? I don't have another other. I had. Does anybody have an example of something that we haven't talked about?
You say like placements in TV shows that like I guess they're kind of like sponsored where I don't know if it's like a crime show and they pull up in like a Chevy car. Would that count as media or would that be?
That's a good question. When I talk about Netflix, I talked about that. But I think that really when we think of media, we're thinking more of like these like commercials, right? Like that's typically how we think of traditional media types of marketing channels. And if we think about it as the channel, then it's not the TV, it's production companies, right? Like that's how producers are advertising in movies. Yeah, I'm gonna throw it down here. It might fit into media. There's some of these that are squishy. If as long as you justify them, it doesn't. Let's do this product placement.
What about like Coke? So I know like insurance agencies and all kinds of places, like they'll make specific things, like State Farm makes pens and backpacks, and they like just hand them out to people. Like, would that just be like, what would that be called?
Swag. And we're gonna put it down in other. No, that's a great example. That's just like stuff, right? Like those are just, we're just gonna call it swag because that's what they call it when they buy it. But like, those are like physical things, right? Like so physical advertisements. I'm making these words up here. This is not like I didn't read this anywhere. Not all of this I've read. This is from lots of sources, but yeah, I think physical placements make sense, or like physical resources. So pens or State Farms or hats, and then how everybody wears those. So I have my friend's little brother, and he wears this hat from this random bank, and he loves this hat. He wears it everywhere, and he thinks this is the best hat in the entire world. And it is from literally a random bank that was just giving out these hats. And so, but every time anybody sees him, they're seeing an advertisement for this hat, right? That's why they give out these physical aspects or this physical swag, right? Because hey, if your pen's getting passed around, then people are being advertised to whether they want to or not, which is also the reason why when you all have identified with Tennessee and you go around wearing your Tennessee gear, you're advertising for Tennessee, right? We're walking billboards saying that like Tennessee's great, and that because what we want to do is we want to identify, we want to be associated with some kind of group, right? And so if I want to be associated with that group and I really like you, and then I want to identify with you, right? Like it kind of follows through that I also want to associate with myself with Tennessee. But yeah, physical products are also, let's call it swag. What time is it? I have 7 minutes. Is that correct? 3:25. Okay. So yeah, we had the other point. Let's see where we are, because that was the end of. Those were all of the content channels that I had, or effective channels that we wanted, and we could maybe, kind of that physical one, have a broader name for that. Sorry, I have a note here, but then I think it fits better somewhere else. So I'm not going to say that until we get further along. The point of aiming the content is that we have to think about, this is a huge another step. Okay. I'm not trying to scoot out of here early, but we're about to jump into the cost of advertising and looking at the marginal cost and understanding the value of retention and some other things, and then jumping into this whole section that we're about to go into, and then demographics, which are coming after that. And so I think it's a pretty good stopping point. So let's just stop for the day. If you have any questions, let me know. I will be, again, as a recap, I will be on the call for I will jump on Thursday in case anybody has any questions for their projects, or I don't know, follow-ups on anything else. And then, but there's no class. It's your free time. It's a no class day. Your projects are still due Thursday evening sometime, because it's not fall recess or spring recess. That's Friday. You don't get off here. You can turn it in on Wednesday for all I care. And let me know if you have any questions. And that's it. And thanks for your participation and, being patient with me muddling through all this. So, cheers. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hey, Tonks. Well, you all scooting out as fast as possible, aren't you?
I actually had a really quick question.
Totes, that's why I'm staying on.
Okay, so we are working on I already typed my part for like our paper. We were all working on it the other day, and I'm doing the marketing channels one. And so obviously we're doing Kraft Heinz. So I talked about all of the marketing channels, because obviously like Kraft Heinz does directly to consumer, because you can purchase products off their website. We did like retailer to consumer and all those. Is there anything else that I need to add for that section? Because I was really struggling. I mean, I got a page and a half done, so like it met the content, but I was more worried that I was leaving something out that needed to be in there.
No, I mean, I think those make sense. It's no, I mean, I think that's fine. I think that the idea is because there's a lot of food companies in our class, and so it starts making it be like that. But a lot of other companies do different types of market. Like they market to other firms, and then they sorry, my dog. They market to other firms, and so before so they have these kind of multiple channels that they're going to sell through, and so I think, if I'm understanding what you're saying to me, I think that it sounds like you have it and what it's supposed to be. So I don't think you have
Okay. Awesome. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for throwing your drinks out there. So
You're welcome. They're really good.
Yeah. Thanks for
My mom's
chatting.
boyfriend drinks them, and I tried them, and I was like, it actually tastes like a Starbucks like latte. I was really surprised. It doesn't taste beery at all.
But yeah, but it does have alcohol in it, right? Like it does have like
it's like 5% or something, I think. Pretty good.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, I'll have to keep that in mind. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. See you later, Madison. Hey, Mason, do you got anything? You don't have a microphone if you want to chat with me? Just need to know, because I'm going to give you about 20 more seconds, then I'm going to end this. I should